Third cup of tea this morning. Been up since before dawn, watching the sunrise. It's magical. I'm on a water anomalously known as a pit. I love it. Proper pioneer carp fishing. It's wild, it's raw, it's untapped. It's my sort of fishing. What I've done all my life really. I'm never happier than being on the water like this. This one's really interesting. 2.9 miles round. It's a big water. First heard about it about a year ago. Actually a shop told me, one of the customers was fishing it. A little bit unusual, and we didn't quite know the setup here. It's been sold, and the guy who's buying it, he's got a guy on here just looking after it, and that guy has let us on, which is very lucky. Anna and I moved on here about April. But as you all know, we've had a terrible spring. It just rained the whole time we was here. First session was 5 days, I think. We never even saw a carp the whole time. But yeah, we learned a lot about the water. What we've been doing is, because we didn't know where to start, really, we've just been figuring out places, pitching up, where we can get a good view of the lake. And then one of us has been, watching the swim while the other's been walking, looking for them. On big waters, especially if it's low population of carp, the key word is location, location, location. You can't just pick a swim, hope they come along. You just got to be moving all the time, looking for them. It really is mobile stuff. It's been interesting to know Anna's been taking less gear every time, stripping it out. I bought an old rod idea I had a few years out. Actually we developed it, the scope rods, so they really packed down to nothing, but most importantly they can really travel light and unencumbered with them. Really I've just got my little Metro barra, and that's only to put my bed chair on, my umbrella and a bit of bait. Otherwise it's rucksack on the back and rods on my shoulder, just so easy to move. We can walk for miles that way. I love it. 4 sessions, never saw a thing, and I think it was the 5th session we saw our first carp. We probably put in a total of 20 odd days to get to that point. I was really excited just actually seeing one. Then the 6th session I got my first one, common. I can't remember what his weight was now, it seems so long ago, 12-14 pound, and I have to say I was over the moon catching that fish. It's not about size, it's about the achievement. To actually catch one out of this godforsaken place, it was awesome. The bottom of this pit is just mind blowing. You might be in 2 inches of water, you might be in 6-7 foot. It's up and down like a yo-yo. It's, for me, difficult to get my head round. Across here, there's channels, bars, islands all over the place. It's a question of trying to figure out the ones that carp are using to get through. You can fish a drop off. I think, wow, it's great, but can the carp get to it? You might be fishing in a room with locked doors, as it were. It's been a right headbang trying to plumb it and get around it. How we've been doing it really is a lot of short range work, because often the deepest water is just a few metres out along the reeds, and then it really shallows up. But a lot of shortish range work. Wading the baits out, actually, using prodding sticks, wading out along the bars, just dropping them on the spot. Or not, if you can do it, there's no more accurate way. I've never known a lake with so much natural food. There's constant hatches coming off it, and the water itself is saline. You can feel it, it feels soapy, it tastes really salty. Hence the shrimp population here is amazing. You put a landing net in the margin, some ground bait in it, and half an hour later you've got like a kilo of shrimps. Just incredible. They're big enough to eat the chow mein. I've fished waters like this over 40 years, and especially when they're very rich, especially when they've never really been fished much. After location, bait recognition is the issue. Quite a little way I go about it. Sweet corn, as far as I'm concerned, is the most instant carp bait there is going. I've used it all around the world, and I don't know a bait which a carp will latch on without ever seeing it before. The key is to use the sweet corn to get them looking for and recognising bait, but then bait is something which they eat at the same time. So I'm mixing up sweet corn with our monster crab and crayfish boilies that were especially produced by Gary Bays. They're fluoro orange, so they really will stand out. And I'm also using a lot of pellet. That's primarily to attract the shrimp. They seem to love the pellet. So my thinking is, if we attract the shrimp, which is the food source of the carp, then we'll attract the carp as well. Rig-wise, well, you can fish a lake like this for a long time and not get a take. So when you do get a take, you don't want to lose it because the tackle's not up to the job. Strong, reliable tackle is key. You don't need fancy rigs. These fish have never been hooked before. Like I say, bars up and down like a yo-yo. You need to get your lead jammed in one. And because of the bars, I'm using the diffusion camo leaders because of the abrasion resistance. Simple rigs as well, strong hooks and just simple blowback rigs. And then we did another session, Alan got his first one. And then it all come right for us on the 7th session. We had 7 takes. Didn't actually do so well on landing them. I hooked a big fish and just ploughed through the reeds and had it on for about a minute and lost it. And I hooked another one and that grounded me on a bar. I tried slacking off and I just couldn't move it, it didn't swim off or anything. In the end the hook link parted. Then Alan got one, small common. I can't quite remember the series of events, but all I do remember is late afternoon. And he got a take and he weighed out and hit it, and I just knew that was a big fish. I saw it boil off. Anyway, cut a long story short, I was blown away when this fish come over the landing net. Stunning mirror, you can see, really heavily plated. One of the most amazing fish I've ever seen in my life, And that really made it for us. I think the next morning under 20 pounds, something common. And that was the end of the session, really. Magical session. Finally we was cracking it, beginning to understand the fish, and everything was coming together, the plan was working. So we come down to the 8th session, we were actually wading around the lake, taking out some snags and that. And the owner come round and asked us what we was doing. We said, well, we got permission to fish here by Mr. X. He said, no, you haven't. He hasn't got permission to fish here. So kind of led along a bit and we got chucked off. Amazing, really. Just beginning to get to the bottom of this place and was asked to leave, should I say. Apologies, I suppose, for being on the lake when we wasn't allowed to, but we believe we had permission. I suppose that's life and that's carp fishing. Now I need a new plan.